Hi folks, Karen. It's Karen here. I wanted to do a quick update. My last video, I was talking about how I was using the full cover artificial nails and that some of them weren't quite the same size and what I needed, so I had kind of like adapted some of them to work. Well, that didn't work. I ended up with what I have found out are called the Greenies, which is actually, it's not a fungal infection, it's a bacterial infection. So I took my nails off and left them off for a whole week, and I used a combination of, I would soak my nails for 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes twice a day in white vinegar, and then afterwards I would use Bacitracin, because that's an antibiotic. And I would also use Dr. G's, which this is actually an antifungal, so I use the combination. Primarily I use the triple antibiotic ointment, and I would just rub it on the back of my, right up at the tip there. And then at night I would put on some cotton gloves, which helps with keeping the cream on your hands. So I wore these initially too, also during the day, because I was able to type with them. So I got done all of that, and then with the bacterial infection, there are some videos out there. Well, actually, I went out on Google. I didn't see any videos for it, and I didn't do a video because I didn't want anybody to see my disgusting nails. But the greenish brown that gets on your nails from that, it looks greenish, and then as it starts to fade a little bit, it kind of turns brown. That's actually a stain, and you can buff some of that off. If you're using one of these big buffy file things here, which I got at Sally's, you can do it really lightly. Otherwise, you'll damage the bed of your nail. Your nail plate. And you can also use a buffing block if you have one of those. So I was looking for a way to get started again with my nails, but I was kind of afraid to use the full cover nails again, where you just glue them, you put the glue on, you glue them on. And if you look at my previous videos, that's what I had been doing. So I had tried the ASP quick dip type, where you get these little nails with it, and these are just the tips. And I had tried that and it didn't work very well. When I would dip my finger in it, and you can see other tutorials here on videos on here about it. Different people make the quick dip. I did mine with the ASP, but I couldn't get the lumps out of it. It was just horrible. I wasn't good enough at that yet. So I kept looking, and I found a video tutorial by, what's her name again? DivaDollFlawless. And I'll put a link below to her tutorial video. And she shows you how to use the ASP Light-less Gel. And it's a brush on. And she takes you through what you need. It's pretty easy. Even, you have to have some kind of a steady hand, and you have to have patience. You can't do this real fast like a nail technician would do, but this worked out really well. Now, to prep my nails, what I did was, I have one of those nail brushes. It's a brush on one end and pumice stone on the other. So after I pushed my cuticles back, I used the pumice stone on them very lightly on the nail plate to get everything clean. And then I wiped them with alcohol. And then after I did that, I buffed them up a little bit just with one of these. This came in the kit, so I used that a little bit, the smoother side, and just buffed them very lightly, and then wiped everything off with alcohol. And then in the kit, it came with this instant nail glue. Now, from the quick dip, I still had the brush-on nail glue. So I used this to put my nails on, the nail tips on, and I actually like the brush-on glue better. So you apply the nail tip, and then and DivaDollFlawless will show you everything how to do the procedure. But once you get everything ready, now what I did, because I had a problem with lifting with the artificial nails, and I don't want to go through that again, I bought IBD Natural Nail Primer. And that's just a brush-on primer. So I used that in preparation first. And then all you do is, the other thing you want to buy is an IBD number 6 flat gel brush. And I just used a shot glass. Because what you want to do is put acetone in your shot glass. Because what you're going to do is with the gel, and this is the gel, it's going to come with an applicator tip. Darn camera. This is going to come with an applicator tip. Don't use that. Take the applicator tip off and use a brush. And you just put a line of gel right down the middle and then brush it. And then the gel cure spray. Squirt once. Now, what I did, because some people will do one whole nail and finish it completely before going to the next nail. And here's what worked for me. Now, I have 3 coats on of the gel before I polished it. I think even my husband, he go, wow, well, they turned out really nice. But what I did was I would go through, like with the primer, I used 2 coats of the primer. So I did it all on one hand, went to the other hand, and then did a second coat of primer on each hand before I did the gel. Now, what I did was I brushed on the gel, spray cure, went to the next hand, and I did 1 coat. And then I did the first coat on the other hand before coming back and doing the second coat. So I alternated hands, not alternated fingers. So instead of doing 3 whole coats on the thumb before going to the next finger, I did 3 whole coats on, I did 1 whole coat on a hand, moved to the next hand, did 1 coat, and then came back. This way, my first hand, the first coat was allowed to set for a full minute while I was doing this hand. So it was like actually more than a minute before doing the second coat and so on. And I really like the way they turned out. You know, they turned out pretty cool. I'm happy with them. Especially after going for a whole week without my nails. Ah! And then once I was all done with everything, then I'm continuing because I still have some of the, actually it's like a preventative, but after I was all done, before I polished them, I did use the antibiotic and Dr. G's. I did that again and left it set for like an hour, and then I just used alcohol on the nail plate before doing my polish. Now this polish I picked up at a Dollar General. You probably won't be able to see unless I do the autofocus, but it's called Artmatic Nail Polish, and it doesn't even have a color written on it or an item number or anything. Probably did on the box. I took it out of the box. But it's real pretty. It's got real tiny little itty bitty sparkles in it. It's really pretty. And then I love this stuff. Sally Hansen Dries Instantly Top Coat. That's all I use now. I even like this better than the OPI Drip Dry. This just dries so fast. It's just awesome. So that's what I'm doing with my nails now. And since I got the full cover artificial nails really cheap between eBay and Amazon, I just throw them out. I just threw them out. My husband says, we just got rid of all that stuff. It's not working anyway. So I threw it all out because it just, when I took my nails off and I saw that 4 of my nails, my thumbs were fine because I was using the right size on my thumbs. And actually my pinky fingers were fine. What I had to do was adjust my middle fingers and I like moved up a size on each of these fingers because the last batch, if you look at my previous video, the last batch that they sent me, they were missing the number that I needed for my index finger and my ring finger. And my index finger and my ring finger for the full cover nails use the same size. So when you're buying all, I had to take the bag of number 5s and split them. So once I jumped up in size, I ended up with too much of a gap on the side because they were actually a little too big, so they weren't setting on there correctly. And then once that happens, you get moisture under there, and it's not mold because only, humans don't get moldy, but it was a bacterial infection. So I got bacteria underneath of in between the artificial nail and the nail plate, and the bacteria just grew. So it was kind of like gross. That's why I had my husband go get the gloves, because once I took my nails off and had to leave them off and treat them, I couldn't stand looking at them. So I walked around with my gloves on all day, but fortunately I was still able to type in them. But now I'm using this. Now hopefully I'm going to just refill these and let my natural nail grow out. And then what I can do from there is, as I trim the tip down, eventually the nail tip will grow out. And then once my natural nail grows out, then I can just take the tips off, take the acrylic off, and start fresh. And then just use because I really like this stuff, and I'll just use the Lightless Gel overlay on my natural nails to keep them long. Okay, that's going to do it for now, and have a happy Memorial Day. And that's it. Talk to you later.